Today, we're going to learn about chord inversions and how to write down bass notes in the Nashville Number System, starting right now. Hi, I'm Nate Martin, and this is Prep Before You Praise, where we help you get started and get better as a member of the worship team at your church. Today, we're going to continue our Nashville Number System series with chord inversions, bass notes, and how to write them down so you know when to play a different note than what the bottom of a triad is. So let's get started. We're going to begin with chord inversions. Now, you're already familiar with what a triad is if you watched our video on basic music theory for the Nashville Number System. A triad is simply in the key of C for the C chord, a C, an E, and a G. The 4 chord in C would be F, A, and C, or an F chord. 5 chord would be a G chord. G, B, and D, a G triad, or the 5 chord in the key of C. The A minor would be the 6 minor, and we'll go back to the 1 in C. Now, inversions are simply a triad, but beginning with a different note within the chord at the bottom. So you have a root triad with which you're already familiar. That's the C, E, and G. But the C chord can also be played with an E on the bottom, or E, G, and C. Still a C chord, but beginning with the E in the bass. We call that the first inversion of the chord. The second inversion would start on the G. G, C, and E would be the second inversion of the C triad. They're all still a C chord, but you have the C root, the first inversion, and the second inversion. And every chord or triad can be played either as the root, the first inversion, or the second inversion. Still be the same chord, just being played in a different way. So what does that mean for the bass? Well, bass notes are written with the chord first, then a slash, and then the note that the bass plays, or which inversion we're in. So if we have a C chord, that's the 1. If after the slash there is a different number written, say the 3, well then instead of playing the 1 in the bass, you'd play the 3 in the bass over the 1 chord, or the 1 over a 3 bass. And that's what that's called, is a 1 over 3. So you're playing a 1 chord with a 3 in the bass. Now, if it says 1/5, then you're going to play a 1 chord with a 5 in the bass. So the bass player would play a G, even though the rest of the band would be playing a C chord, which would relate to the second inversion of the C chord. Now that would happen in any key. If you're playing in the key of A, well then the A, that's the root, then beginning with the C sharp, then the E, then the A, that's the first inversion, or E, A, C sharp would be the second inversion. And that would be written, if you're in the key of A, if you're playing an A chord, with the 1 chord over a 3, or the 1 chord over a 5. And if you're playing the 1 chord over a 1, well, you just put the 1. You don't need to have a slash there. So that is how the bass player knows what note to play within the chord that the rest of the band is playing. So let's give you an example. We're going to play in the key of G, where the F is sharped to make the major scale. So G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G. So every F that is played is going to be an F sharp. So if we're going to play the 1 chord with the bass note playing a 1, the G, but we want to walk down the bass, we want to play a D chord, but we want to walk down only a half step to the bass, that'd be an F sharp. So you've got G, D over F sharp. So you're playing the 5 chord over the 7 note in the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So you're playing a 5 over 7. And you see how differently that sounds from just playing a 5 chord. So instead of this, you have this. Now for you keyboard players, you already know that it's a lot easier to go from the root of the G to to the first inversion of the D chord and actually play the F sharp at the bottom as well. It's just much easier than trying to move your entire hand. Now let's play a 4/6 to continue. Back to a 5/7, and then the 1. Now let's take a listen to how differently that sounds. We're going to play 1-5-4-5-1. Now we're going to play 1, then 5/7, then 4/6, back to the 5/7 and the 1. Well, there you have it, a quick overview of chord inversions, bass notes, and how to write them down in the Nashville Number System. Hey, if you found this information useful, go ahead and click the like button, and consider subscribing to the channel and clicking that bell so you'll be notified as soon as we post a new episode. Also, if there's a subject that you would like to learn more about when it comes to worship ministry, leave a note in the comment section so that we might be able to cover that subject in a future episode. That way, together we can learn how to prepare to bring our best to a God who deserves our best. See you in the next video.